Hi, we are going to start working with our CAD drafting program that you see over here. These are all the courses that I'll be teaching one by one, and we'll be going towards CAD drafting, web design, and graphic design technology. Okay, so the one that you see in green, this is all CAD drafting that we will be working with. I've already finished a couple programs, which is AutoCAD Mechanical and AutoCAD Architectural. So you can watch those videos already on YouTube. But today I would be covering with Introduction to Drafting and Design. So after Introduction to Drafting and Design, we'd go to Rapid Visualization, where we'll be learning how to draw some freehand sketches. And then after that, we'll go to Descriptive Geometry, where we learn more about different types of views. We learn about some civil drawing techniques and learn about how to make some geometrical shapes and stuff like that. Uh, then that divides more into two branches. One was the AutoCAD Mechanical and AutoCAD Architecture. Once we get done with that, we'll go to AutoCAD 3D, which is AutoCAD Inventor. Okay, so where we will be learning how to draw mechanical drawings using Autodesk Inventor. And on this side, you see, once we finish with AutoCAD Architecture, we'll go to Autodesk Studio Max, 3D Studio Max, where we will learn how to make a house using the three-dimensional tools that 3D Studio Max has to offer. Further, we'll be doing AutoCAD Revit, which is again going to be architectural, and Google SketchUp, which is again going to be architectural. So if you look on this side to your left, we have two-dimensional AutoCAD, and on the right side we have three-dimensional. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to go for to finish the whole package of drafting and design. Once we get done with drafting and design, I would jump to graphic design program, where we will be learning rapid visualization and basic design. We learn Photoshop, Illustrator. Descriptive geometry would still be the same that you see over here, because these courses are connected. So we'll be doing that. Next we'll go to Autodesk Inventor again, which is the same that you see over here. We learn a couple more programs like Autodesk Sketchbook Pro and Autodesk Sketchbook Designer, which is again used for drawing and sketching in vector and bitmap base. Okay, so this is what we have to offer. And last but not least is the web design program. In web design, I'll be doing Introduction to Web Design and HTML. We'll go to learn how to use Front Page, which is web designing software. Then we'll go to Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Dreamweaver, and finally Flash. Okay, so I hope you stay tuned, and please keep checking my videos. It's always a good thing to subscribe, so the second I upload something, you guys already have the email where it shows I uploaded an email, or sorry, I uploaded a new video. Okay, now let's go to CAD drafting and design. This is the first class, which is Introduction to Drafting and Design. Let's see what we are going to learn in that class. I'm going to minimize this, and let's go right here. So in Introduction to Drafting and Design, these are the topics that we will cover one by one, starting with the Worldwide Graphic Language for Design, which I will do today. It's basically an introduction of what we are going to do in this class, and understanding the terminology used by engineers and designers and architects worldwide. Then we'll jump to technical sketching and geometric sketching, which is chapter 2, orthographic projections, which is chapter 3. This is where we will learn how to draw two-dimensional views of our three-dimensional objects. And then we go to chapter 4, which is drawing sectional views, where we will learn how to cut an object and draw what we see inside of it. Going to chapter 5 is drawing auxiliary views, where we learn how to draw views at a certain angle rather than at normals. Then we'll see in chapter 6 how to dimension and how the tolerancing works in mechanical drawings. We go chapter 7, where we learn how to put everything onto the templates and layouts, and we understand what working drawings are and stuff like that. Okay, chapter 8 is axonometric views. In fact, chapter 8, 9, and 10, these are all three-dimensional views. So we learn how to draw isometric view, dimetric views, trimetric views, oblique views, and perspective projections, where we learn how to draw 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, and 3-point perspective. So I think that's good enough for you to understand what we are going to learn in our Introduction to Drafting and Design class. Now let's go to chapter 1, which is Worldwide Graphic Language for Design, and let's see what are the objectives that we have in that class today. So chapter 1, Worldwide Graphic Language for Design, starting with describing the role of the design process. Then the next one is difference between artistic and technical drawings. Then we'll talk about standards and why the drawing standards are so important. Let's go to the next one, is the number of professions that use technical drawing. Identify uses of graphic language, freehand lettering exercises, where I will show you how to start doing some text, and it's going to be freehand. So it's really important as an engineer or designer or architect to learn how to do some freehand lettering, and you have to be nice and precise and clean. It's really important because again we will be working with a lot of freehand drawings. The next is scales, where we cover architecture, engineering, and metric scales. We have some sketching exercises coming up where we would learn how to draw lines. We learn how to draw circles and ellipses. Then we'll go to the different stages of the design process. After that, I will give you an introduction to what computer-aided design is and what product development is. Okay. And finally, what are rapid prototypes and why are they used? So I'm going to talk about the first and second objective that you see over here. One is to describe the role of drawing in the design process and the difference between the artistic and the technical drawing. Now, what is an artistic drawing? Now, artistic drawing is someone that anyone, like you, me, anyone, since when we were kids, we started to draw. We start to draw simple objects, draw and color them, and and present it to our family or parents or teachers for for showing them how good of an artist you are, right? You use the artistic drawing for so many different things since when we are born. Mostly we are using it for portraying our idea, right? So what we are trying to do is communicating. We are communicating in a language that is different from the language that we speak, and we are communicating through our eyes and our hands instead of communicating through our mouth. Okay, so when we are talking about drawings and why they are used, it's mostly for communication, for visualization, and for documentation. Okay, so unless someone sees that what you have on a piece of paper or on the computer, he wouldn't understand. He wouldn't understand what you're trying to tell. For example, if I just tell someone, hey, I wanna do this. I want a house with 4 bedrooms, and this is how I'm going to lay out my furniture, and this is what I'm gonna do here in this place and that place. Just talking really doesn't help, right? Because people cannot visualize what you're trying to say. So that's the reason why drawing is so important, where you will put something on paper and show them that this is what I want, and they exactly understand what you're trying to show. Okay, so what is the role of drawing in the design process? Now, without drawing, as I said, no one can understand what you're trying to say. So that's why drawing is so important. Again, I say for visualization, for communication, and for documentation. Now, for example, I'm going to draw a lamp. Okay, so for me, a lamp looks like this. Now, this is what I put in as an artist, where I put in an artistic drawing, right? Now, if I take this lamp to a manufacturer and I ask him, hey, you know what, I want you to design me a lamp that looks just like this. Is this enough? Is this a drawing enough? I don't think this is enough. This is more of a concept where you're just sketching to show the shape of the object. But for this drawing to be technical, there has to be a lot of other information that needs to be included. For example, I will have to put in a height, maybe 6 feet. Then I would have to put a height of this. I would have to put the diameter of the top, which is maybe 12 inches. Diameter of the bottom, which is maybe 16 inches. Right? So now it's turning more technical step by step, and then he has a better idea of what to manufacture for you. Then I would even have to probably give the materials. What materials am I going to put on the lamp? What is going to be this material? Is it wood? Is it metal? Then how's the base? What material is the base? What shape is the base? So this is a little bit of a technical drawing, but to complete the lamp and give him the drawing, I have to have all the information, not just one drawing. I will have to have a drawing of the lamp from all different sides, so he has a perfect understanding as to how it would look like. For example, I would give him the top view of the lamp. This is how my lamp looks from the top, which is just the top and this, right? And then I have a small base over here, which is this base. Okay, so it's the top view. Now what you see over here is the front view, which corresponds to the top view. If you would see in the right place, that's the base. Okay, and now I will give all the dimensions for the top view, for the front view, and then I will even have a side view. Okay, now again, this is a lamp, this is symmetrical, so the side view would still look exactly the same as the front view. I could even give him more information, like I would even probably draw a 3D view of the lamp. Okay, I could draw the 3D view of the lamp where he gets a better idea as to how his lamp needs to be constructed. So I can have, this is my top, this is my bottom, then my top is somewhere over here, then I would join that, and then I have that, and then I put in the base. Okay, so this gives a rough sketch, a rough understanding of how my lamp is going to look in 3D, right? So 3D is more of a presentation drawing, where you just do a presentation, where you're just trying to portray your idea so people understand how this looks in real life in 3D, so it's easy to make or assemble. So that's where we had the difference between an artistic and a technical drawing, and the role, why we need these drawings in the design process. Okay? Now, if you look over here, this thing is just more of a sketch, right? This thing is more of a artistic drawing. While on the other hand, if you look on this side, even though it looks like a sketch, but it's still more technical because it has all the information that is needed to manufacture the lamp. Okay, so at least I hope you understood the difference between the artistic and the technical drawing. Now this is just a really simple example. Then the drawing goes a lot more in detail when we start drawing. Like for example, if I wanted to draw the house, like when you were kids, you just did the house that looked something like this, right? And then I have a roof here. Okay, now again, this is a sketch. This sketch doesn't show anything much in detail. So that's when I need to draw a detailed view of the house, where I will design how the house will look from the front, will look from the side, will look from the isometric or the perspective views. I would draw how the same house looks from the top cutout view, where I would show the walls, I would show the entry for the door, I would show some windows, I would show even some internal walls, right? And again, I have a door over here, some more windows. I might have a bathroom here. Just like a rough sketch. Okay, another window here. So this is called a floor plan. Okay, this one you would say elevation, or the front view. And then I will have the side view over here, right? Then I would give the height of the house. How tall is the house? You know, it's like 20 feet, it's like 10 feet, it's like 15 feet. So then that gives an idea to the contractor as to what he's building and what your house is going to look like. Okay, now we will go into all these drawings a lot in detail, but as far as you understand what I'm trying to say over here, you know, just as an introduction, then that's good enough. Now the reason being is because we have to understand the language first. We have to understand the lingo. We have to understand what plans are, what elevations are, what sections are, you know, how the floor plan works, how to draw the floor plan, you know, how to place it on the drawing. So all those technical aspects that we are going to learn in this class. Okay, now let's jump to explaining why the standards are so important, which is our third objective. Now if I go and try to draw the same house a different way, which, you know, I'm pretty sure someone else would draw the house that you see over here looking some like that, right? Someone would draw the same house that looks like this over here, but then I have a door, then I have a chimney that goes up, right? So someone else would draw the same exact house in a different way. Now this gets confusing. Why? Because if I design a house over here, then I should be able to construct that house anywhere on this planet. As far as I have the drawing onto the piece of paper, I can send the drawing by email or mail to any part of the country or any part of the world where they should be able to read the drawing and understand it. So if I do my dimensions in this drawing like this, and on this drawing I'm doing the same dimension as just that, did I follow the standard? No, I didn't follow the standard that's used for dimensioning like you say here. All I did is just put some numbers. Now what happens is the contractor he gets confused as to what this number is for. Is this number is for this line, is for that line, is for the height of this, is for the height of the building? No one knows, right? So this is a wrong drawing. Now the reason, because it has not followed the standards, and this drawing is the right drawing. Why? Because it has followed all the standards that are needed. So the dimensioning is just one standard that is used, but there's so many other different standards, like I would say uh, like projection standards, right? For example, the top view, front view, side view, perspective view. Then the next one would be units. Units are so important. Here in the United States, we use feet and inches, right? And the rest of the world pretty much uses what? Metric, which is millimeter, centimeter, right? Then we have miles, and the rest of the world has kilometers. We have gallons, and the rest of the world has what? Liters. So these are some of the different standards that are used throughout the world, and it's important to understand what these standards are, what standards are used in what parts of the world, so we can easily understand the drawing, we can understand the language that they are talking in. So it's important to understand any language in any industry that you're working with, right? Like if I am a doctor, for example, then I talk in the medical language, where for simple terms that we would use, the doctors use really complicated terms and words, even though it still means the same, right? So if I'm working in an architecture firm, so I use my architecture lingo, or I use my architecture language. Or if I'm working in a computer engineering company, they use the computer engineering terms, even though you know what it is, but you still don't understand just because they're using such complicated words. Okay, but they are the standards, and that's what we need to do, is try to learn to follow these standards. So that's why it's extremely important to learn what standards are, so we can communicate our ideas throughout the whole world. Now, some more examples of standards I would say is is different signs and symbols. So if I draw this symbol, and if I say stop here, you already know what this symbol stands for, right? What other standards do we have? Like for example, you have a standard for this. If I draw this, you should know what this stands for. Okay. This is the traffic light, traffic signal, right? Then there is, what other signs do you see? Like if I draw something like this, then that means what? That means only right turn, right? If I draw something like that, then I would say what? Lane merging. So all these are symbols and standards designed to help us understand and make it easier for everyone to understand what the message is, right? So if I put the stop sign over here that looks like a symbol, it's always better than writing some information, right? But people don't have time to read because they're driving the car. So the second they see the stop sign, it's in whatever color and it grabs your attention, and that's when you stop, right? So the green symbol is to go, the red symbol is to stop. So you're working with colors, you're working with shapes, you're working with designs and so many different things, right? So that's the reason why I say that working with standards is extremely important, and you have to understand why. Okay, so we'll be using a lot of standards in our class. For example, related to drafting and design, where we learn the symbols and units and using different scales, using different measurements, using different line types, how a circle is drawn, how an ellipse is drawn. So all these different standards we'll be going through. Now let's go to the next one, where it says list professions that use technical drawings. Now, what are the professions you think use technical drawing? Okay, let's start with one. Like I'll say architecture companies, firms use technical drawings, right? And the second one would be interior design. Interior design. Correct? Third one would be mechanical companies, where you have to learn how to put your mechanical part on the piece of paper, or using a CAD program for doing that. Then mechanical, then I would say four is civil, then fifth would be furniture design, sixth would be jewelry design, seventh would be military, okay. Eighth is all branches of engineering. So all this has to be done using using different programs like CAD, 3D, even hand drawing, using what? Using standards. Okay, so these are some of the places that I listed over here that you see that use technical drawings. Okay, now again, anything and everything that you use on an everyday basis, starting from your bed that you sleep on, was done or drawn using a technical drawing program, to the slippers or the shoes that you wear, to the brush that you use, to the car that you drive, to the office that you go to. So everything that you use on an everyday life has one time or the other been drawn by someone onto the right scale and the standards for you to use in manufacturing and construction, right? So that's what are some of the professions that you see that use technical drawing. Now the next one is identify uses of the graphic language. Now as I said, all these that you see over here is a language, right? So we have to understand the language. Now what are the uses of learning this language of drawing? and the symbols and the standards. Now the main use is basically it's easy for everyone, even though someone who's not trained in the technical field, to understand what message you're trying to portray. Then the next thing is obviously it saves a lot of time. Then what more? It avoids confusion because it's a standard. Everyone know that a signal looks like this, so there's no other way about it, right? If you are using pedestrian crossing, the pedestrian crossing has a certain symbol, and then that's what the pedestrian crossing is. Okay, so that makes it easier for everyone to understand clearly what these symbols are. Okay, so if I were to make a house, okay, then I use so many symbols associated with the house so everyone understands that a door would look, sorry, I would erase that. A door would look in our view, or in our top view, the door looks something like this. Now this shows the opening. Okay, in the front view, the same door would look something like that. Huh? And I probably have a door handle over here. Okay, so that's where it makes it easy for everyone to understand what that is, everyone to communicate as to what they are talking about, as to what they want to build and stuff like that. Now let's go to some exercises where we will learn how to draw some lettering using freehand. Now, as I said, lettering is extremely important when it comes to working with your sketches and hand drawing. And obviously the lettering that you see is not the best, right? I'm not the best in lettering. It's just because it's tough to do the lettering using this computer program. If I would write on paper, it would look 1,000 times better. But still, let's learn how to do some basic lettering and what are the different types of lettering that we could use. Okay, so in this place, I'm going to use another program used for lettering. So I'm going to select all the stuff and get rid of it. Now what we would be doing is doing the lettering onto the grid. Now this is how we started with. Everyone has to learn how to do lettering onto the grid, and it's all a matter of time and practice to get better. You won't get better in lettering in just one day or one attempt. It takes a lot of time and practice. Now let's go to do some letterings. I will use I would use 2 cubes or 3 cubes right now. Let's see, maybe I'll just use 2 cubes, and I am going to zoom in where, okay, so let's start with the letter A. So see how I am using the 4 cubes. I'm going to start at one point, go to the end, start there, go to the end, and then use the middle one for the letter A. Okay, if I were to draw letter B again, I'm going to use 4 boxes. I'm going to leave 1 box, go straight down, I go straight, and then I curve, and then I go back, then I go straight, and I curve, and then I go straight back. Okay, so that's my letter B. If I were to draw C again in the same place, touching all the 3 points, right? So that's letter C. Now if I were to draw D, let's draw D right here, going straight down and straight, and then I curve till that point, going back, finishing the curve, going straight back up. Okay, so that's A, B, C, D. If I were to draw E, I would go straight down, and use my grid lines to finish my E. 1, 2, and 3. Same way I would do F. Now this is all freehand drawing, right? G is pretty much like C. I go back straight. H. So I hope you understand how I am doing all this lettering. I'm just following the grid. Okay, so now this is one of the ways of doing the lettering. You could go all the way to Z, but I am going to go use another way where I'm going to use, instead of 4, I'm going to use 3 by 3, right? So let's start with the letter I. I start I going all the way down straight. Now see, I'm using 3 cubes over here. I. Then I'm gonna leave 2 cube space. Then I'll do J. Letter K. Letter L. Then M. Straight down. Go somewhere right in the middle of the 3 boxes. Then I am going to go back here and going straight down. Okay, so in this case, if you're working 3 by 3, you could change it up a little bit. Like, for example, if I were to do A, see how I'm gonna make it a little different. I'm taking all the 3 cubes, and then instead of writing somewhere in the middle, I can use the top line, which is this. Or if I want it, I could use this one, right? So now this changes your font style a little bit. I could do B the same exact way, straight down. Then I'm going to go there. I'm gonna go back, messed up a little bit. I'm going to go straight, curve it from there, go back here, straight, curve it from there, and go back straight. See, the B looks a little weird, but that's how it's supposed to be. Now, if I were to do the letter E, I would go here, straight down, follow the 3 boxes. See where I'm having the E? That's the second line, and this is the third line. So this changes the font, makes it look a little bit more artistic as well. Again, it's up to you if you would like to do that. Now I could use, for F, I could use the top one, right? But again, you have to make sure that either you're using the top line or you're using the second line. Okay. So let's do some numbers.